Welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. This feels so strange because I haven't actually sat in front of the camera since before Christmas, believe it or not. Everything else that you've seen on my channel since the new year has been like pre-recorded because it's been my pregnancy updates and like announcements and all those videos that I filmed late last year when I found out I was pregnant. I was going through my first trimester with baby number 2, which is just insane. So this is the first time I'm sitting down and actually talking to you guys about it in real time, which was so nice because yeah, I mean, like the first trimester is a struggle for a lot of people, me included. On top of that, like having a toddler, baby number 2, it's just very different. You would have seen, if you've seen my pregnancy updates week by week, it got quite bad for me, sickness wise and stuff. I don't know how much it came across in the videos, but I struggled like quite a lot. It's a lot easier to now talk about it in retrospect, like because it's all in the past now. I'm happy to talk about it, whereas at the time I was really struggling. But I kind of just wanted to sit down with you guys, like I say, in like real time and talk to you about just all of the questions I've had and all the things I want to tell you and like update you on that have happened like since my first trimester, or like not even just that, but like in my first trimester, like trying to conceive, all of the sort of things that I just haven't been able to talk to you guys about yet. So that's what this video is going to be. I've collected like my most asked questions over on Instagram and stuff. So I will go through those with you, and I think there's like 11 questions, 12 questions. And yeah, if there's any more questions, then feel free to pop them down in the comment section. I'll try and get back to you guys. I'm loving connecting with everyone else that's pregnant out there at the moment, same time as me. I absolutely love that. That's literally the reason I started my channel in the first place, was to connect with people that were going through pregnancy at the same time with me. First time round, because it was during lockdown. It's a lonely time for a lot of people, very scary time for a lot of people, so that's what this channel has always been about, and it's amazing to just do that all over again with you guys at the same time. So anyway, let's get in to the questions. So the first question was, how far along are you? So as I'm filming this and as you're watching this, I am 16 weeks pregnant, which is just insane. I can't believe how quick the last 4 weeks have gone. Like as soon as I hit 12 weeks, I was like, oh, thank God. Even though I was still feeling a little bit sick, and you know, there were still like remnants of the first trimester, but like it's a big milestone, isn't it? And you've had your scan and all that kind of stuff, but the last 4 weeks have just flown by. Like I just can't believe it. And obviously, yeah, so I turned like 12 weeks just before Christmas, and then I'm now 16 weeks, which is just, yeah, amazing. So technically we could go and find out the gender and stuff properly if we wanted to. We haven't done that yet. Like we haven't done like a private scan or anything like that. I think we're probably just going to wait until the 20-week scan, although I don't know if my patients will hold out that long. I'm not sure. As you will have seen, actually, this is like sidetracking. I will do this a lot in this video. As you will have seen, I did actually do a sneak peek gender test. I think it was around 8 weeks. I did a sneak peek gender test. I did get the results back, but I'm just so apprehensive to believe the test that I did myself. I don't know why. It's so silly. I think I did the test correctly, but because I did it and it wasn't like a medical professional, I'm like, I don't know if that's like true, or if I did it wrong, or whatever. I think I know what the gender is, basically. So I should just be able to wait out until we get it confirmed, I guess, from our 20-week scan, but we shall see. I might get impatient and go and do another scan as well. But yeah, that's another question we got a lot, was are you going to find out the gender? And yes, obviously, if you guys know me, I'm a bit of a control freak, and I definitely want to be finding out the gender. Question number 2 was, how are you feeling and did you get morning sickness? And as again, you probably will have seen in the sort of weekly vlogs that I did all last week, they basically went up like day after day. Basically, yes, I did. I got sickness quite bad. I started being like physically sick from the 6-week mark, and then all the way up until sort of, well, like beyond 12 weeks. Like I have still been sick a couple of times, like in the second trimester, like past the 12-week mark. But it's much more like, and I say much more manageable now. I think like I can subdue the sickness. I've got anti-sickness tablets. That are just a dream come true if you are like feeling sick and you can't keep water and food and stuff like down during your pregnancy. Go and ask for the sickness tablets from your GP. I don't know why I was so reluctant to do it in the first place, but oh my gosh, it made the biggest difference in my life. It was just so worth it. So the sickness tablets have been an absolute game changer for me. Plus, being kinder to myself this time round than I was last time round in terms of just eating things that I could eat, like rather than. What I mean by that is, like, in my first pregnancy, I was so adamant that I had to eat like fruit and vegetables and healthy things and like nutritious things, all of which were making me feel sick. I was eating the wrong things, and I was trying to add too much flavour to my food, like the things that I would normally eat. Whereas this time, because I've done it before and I knew that just did not work for me in my first trimester when I was feeling sick last time, I literally, and probably my chin situation is showing this, but I have literally just lived on carbs and cheese. Like, it's just what can stay inside. And you know what? When you have a toddler to look after and you're a working mum and you've just got a life like to continue, and we're not in lockdown this time around, guys, you just need to keep going, and the energy that food provides you is like second to none, and you just need that to get through the day. So I was eating lots of potatoes, like any kind of potatoes, you name it, mashed, wedges, chips, baked potatoes, anything, like just with cheese, like butter and cheese. Definitely no beans, absolutely not. I tried beans one day and that was an absolute no-go. They ended up all over the toilet floor. And yeah, just crumpets, like crumpets with jam and butter, like butter and jam. And I'm pretty sure I ate that for about 3 weeks straight. There were other things that I like snuck in there and tried, but basically those were my like absolute staples. But yeah, it was tricky, I'm not gonna lie, which is where the multivitamins came in. I kind of just told myself, look, if I'm having my multivitamins, the baby is getting the nutrients that they need from that, hopefully. If they're not getting it from my food, at least they're getting it from the nutrients. At least I'm getting something from the nutrients and everything in the vitamins that I was taking. So yeah, that's the short version of that answer about how I was feeling in the first trimester, sickness and all that kind of stuff. If you want the longer form, then go back and watch all of those videos that I posted last week, from the week 4 to the week 12, goes through the weeks and sort of explains how I'm feeling week by week, and the symptoms I was having and what I was doing to sort of subdue my sickness and things like that. So yeah, that is hopefully answered that question. The next question was, how did you know that you were ready for baby number 2? I've said like in previous things, like not quite yet, and it's not quite the right time. And the reason I've said that is because last year, 2022, was such a busy year for us. Like, when looking back, we got married, moved house, and got pregnant. So in terms of like how we knew we were ready, we wanted to be pregnant by the end of 2022 in the most ideal world. The reason being, we wanted a just between a 2.5 year and 3 year age gap between baby number 2 and George, just because that it just seemed like a good age gap. What is a good age gap? Who knows? It just felt kind of right for us. We kind of just said, look, we'll start trying after the wedding, and in an ideal world, we'll be pregnant by the end of 2022. And it happened. And I genuinely couldn't believe it, because for some reason I just thought it was going to take so much longer than it did. And even saying that, it's weird because every single time I took a pregnancy test ridiculously early, whatever, in a way I thought it wasn't going to happen, like soon, or maybe even at all, who knows. But then in another way I was really disappointed every time it said negative. Also thinking about things financially, which I will go into a little bit more, but George gets his 30 hours free childcare, which isn't actually 30 hours free a week, because you'd spread it over an entire year, but it's like 22.5 hours or whatever a week free in January 2024. So we wanted to be in a position where the second child wouldn't need childcare before that point, so we wouldn't have to be paying for childcare 2 times over, because it would just be impossible for us to pay. I just cannot believe the cost of childcare, like I really can't. And it kind of means that in terms of like maternity leave and all that kind of stuff, it all just like fit quite nicely into our little sort of ideal plan. Obviously, I keep saying this with a massive caveat, you cannot plan these things, and there was definitely a point where I was like, oh, it's not going to happen this year, it will happen next year, and even then that was fine. It was just, we didn't want it to happen before then, so we were being, you know, careful when using like the natural cycles tracking app and everything that I was using for my periods before to not get pregnant, and then afterwards we used the natural cycles app to get pregnant. So I really do rate that app, to be honest, and the thermometer and everything. I feel like it gives you a lot more understanding and control over what's going on in your body, and for me as a control freak, I do quite like that, and especially when you're trying to conceive, it's nice to know exactly when you're ovulating so that you can, you know, do what you need to do around that time, if you know what I mean. So the next question was, how long was your trying to conceive journey, and just all about like trying to conceive and all that kind of stuff. So our trying to conceive journey, I think I've mentioned it a little bit just then, but was from just before the wedding. So we had like 4 cycles basically, which kind of equated to about 5 months, if that makes sense. So in terms of like actual cycles, like what are they called? Period cycles? So in terms of like cycles, we had 4 cycles where we were trying, which I think equated to about 5 months or just under 5 months. So realistically, that didn't take anywhere near as long as we thought it was going to. I don't know why we thought it was going to particularly. We just had it in our minds that it might not happen, and you know, we're not putting any pressure on it, and even though I did definitely end up putting pressure on it, when we set it out, we were like, right, it could just take ages, so let's just start trying, and if it doesn't happen, it's fine. That was definitely my attitude first month, and then it got to like maybe the 3rd month, and I was like, oh, I thought that attitude was supposed to like get you pregnant really soon, and it hasn't, and like, what the hell. But yeah, we were really lucky that it didn't take us too long, and yeah, I mean, it's a really sensitive subject, isn't it? Because I know a lot of people are struggling in their sort of trying to conceive journey. I hate that word, journey, but it's difficult when you know people that are trying to conceive and aren't succeeding in the way that they would want to, and are struggling to know what to do and like what the next steps are. So yeah, I want to tread carefully around that subject. My heart honestly goes out to everyone that's trying to conceive and unfortunately aren't getting the results that they would like every single month. That's another thing that I think it takes a toll, doesn't it? Like that whole procedure of like testing and then getting the negative, and then having to do that month after month, and sometimes multiple times a month if you think you tested too early and you take another one, and it's like putting a lot of pressure on yourself as well as like the whole experience. So yeah, it's a tricky time, it really is, but like I say, we were really lucky, and I'm so incredibly grateful that we were able to fall pregnant yeah, so soon really. In terms of like what I used and all of that kind of stuff during like the trying to conceive phase, basically I used my Natural Cycles app, like I said, and so originally I was using that to prevent being pregnant. If you don't know what Natural Cycles is, basically it's an app that you track your cycle on. You take your temperature every single morning, and using your basal temperature alongside sort of when like tracking your periods and things like that, it can calculate when you are fertile and when you are non-fertile. I did not know until very recently that you can only fall pregnant 6 days in a month. Like physically you can only fall pregnant 6 days in a month, which is crazy. So yeah, the app basically tells you when you're fertile, when you're not fertile, and then obviously you can switch the mode. So if you're trying to not get pregnant, it's like a green day is a day that you can just not worry about anything and just have at it, and that's fine. And a red day is where you have to use like a barrier method of a contraception. If you're trying to get pregnant, you switch the mode on the app, and basically it just tells you, again, when you're fertile, not fertile, and it tells you the days that you ovulate, etc, etc, and it tells you when to take LH tests, which I can't remember what LH stands for, but it's basically the hormone in your body that rises when you're about to ovulate. So if you get a positive LH test, which is, you basically take it exactly the same way as you do like a pregnancy test, little strip test, and then so you wee on that, or you dip it in like a pot of wee, and then you find out whether you're ovulating. If you get the positive test, then in the next 24 hours you're going to ovulate. So that was really, really handy in understanding like what was happening. So I'll show you like my September one, for example. So here, I don't want, there's like a ring light here. Here you can see that I ovulated at the beginning of September. That's the day I ovulated. Then I knew that I wasn't fertile and stuff. You can see here the little drips there, my period. So I had got my period that month. So yeah, obviously wasn't pregnant. And then at the end, you can see here, you can see that I started taking the LH test, and it started to tell me when I was more fertile. So you can see here, this dark red day was my most fertile day, and then I ovulated. So just clicked on one of the days where I took a LH test. You can see that I took a picture of it. It tells you if it's like a negative or a positive result, and like it has a few other things there, like what I've put in, like details that I've put in about my skin and like cervical mucus and all that kind of stuff. Everything including my basal temperature. But then basically it tracks it until you have ovulated. It tells you when you've ovulated, and basically it tells you like when the best time to try and conceive is. Basically that was the cycle that I fell pregnant, and then in the October section you can see it's all gone blue, and that's because I was pregnant. Obviously I didn't find out until like the middle of October, but yeah, like my body was like, that was happening inside. So that was kind of, yeah, my trying to conceive like bestie, I'm not gonna lie. This Natural Cycles app was pretty like paramount in like helping me understand like anything basically, because I'm not gonna lie, like in my first pregnancy, like I just didn't understand this stuff. I didn't understand cycles, I didn't understand ovulation, LH tests, like I didn't know any of those things. And there are some really, really good videos out there on YouTube if you're looking to like do some research and stuff about what is happening inside. Like, it's just crazy, isn't it, that we don't learn this stuff at school, because it's your body and it happens to you every single month. And I didn't know much until I started using the Natural Cycles app. I didn't really know much about what was going on inside the female body every single month. So yeah, that was sort of what I used. And those LH tests, the strip tests that I used, I would take those probably, well, it tells you on the app actually when to take them. So like when it thinks you might be ovulating, it will say to start taking the LH test, and it will know exactly when you have ovulated, because you've put that into the app as well. So I bought a pack of 100, maybe a pack of 80 LH tests and pregnancy tests. I think it's like 80 LH tests and 20 pregnancy tests in this box, and it's literally like those little strip tests, and they cost like £10, and I'll link them down below on Amazon because they're really, really good. I've still got loads of them upstairs as well. The pregnancy tests, I would take probably about 9 to 10 days post-ovulation. Probably, like, it's probably a little bit too early, but I was impatient. Like, I was absolutely impatient. On the month that we did actually conceive, I found out 9 days post-ovulation, I think, which is actually how many days long I was when I found out with George. So yeah, impatience. But the line was so faint. I probably shouldn't have been testing that early. Like, none of the tests say you should do that. But even that little strip test in the little cheap set that I got from Amazon showed up that early. So I don't know whether it's just like my body like gives off higher HCG levels or whatever, which is the hormone that shows that you're pregnant, I think. I don't know, but yeah, that's the little set that I got. So that was my trying to conceive journey, I guess. The next question was, are you going to find out the gender, and how reliable is sneak peek? I've already said I don't know. Like, yes, I'm going to find out the gender. That's an absolute yes. But I don't know how reliable the sneak peek gender test is, because I haven't had it confirmed, and I'm still reluctant to believe the result. Like, I don't know why, and it's a me thing, because it says it's 99% accurate, but I have done that test in my house, like on my own. I didn't have like someone doing it for me, like in a medical, I don't know, environment. I feel like if I had that, then I would be like, oh yeah, 100%, that's the result. But yeah, so that's the only thing that I am apprehensive about believing, is because I've done it myself. I think probably I'm being silly, and it is the gender that it told me when it gave me the results back. It probably is that, and to be honest, that's like what I'm visioning in my head, like, if that makes sense. So, you know, when you find out whether it's a boy or a girl and you start like envisioning what that might be like, I'm already envisioning the gender that it came up with. So, and like they're the names that I'm focusing on, for example. But yeah, I still haven't had my 20-week scan. So once I've had that and it's confirmed, then I will believe it. And then I think that's when I'll do some sort of like gender thing. Unless like someone manages to change my mind, I probably won't be doing like some sort of big party reveal thing. But anyway, I'll do something like a reveal video of some sort, but I just don't know how yet. But yeah, I will be finding out the gender, and I will let you guys know before the baby's born, of course. Next question was, how was or is being pregnant with a toddler? Very good question. Very good question. It is rough. It's very hard. So now it's not as hard. First trimester, it was hard, like really hard. And I think the main reason it was hard was because how much I was struggling sickness-wise, tiredness-wise. George didn't understand. George is 2 years old. How many months is he? 28 months, whatever that means, 2 and a bit. He doesn't understand that, like, if mummy's like laying down, you know, because she feels sick, it doesn't mean that, you know, I still have to get up and get him stuff as soon as he demands it, otherwise he's gonna have a tantrum. Like, we're very much in that stage. Yeah, it's just tricky. It's just tricky. You just don't have time to like wallow in your own self-pity, which I think sometimes is a positive, because in my first pregnancy I did definitely wallow, like a lot, like, because I'd never felt like that, because you just feel sick for such a prolonged period of time and can't remember what it's like to not feel sick. Like, you just feel unwell, unhealthy, and like just the energy levels were just sapped from me, and it's just tricky. And yeah, there were some really, really hard days. There were some okay days, and there were some really hard days. I think maybe around the 9 or 10 week mark, my husband Ash went away for a few weeks with work, which was difficult because even though, so I'm here on my own during the week with George anyway, Ash works away, and then he comes back on the weekends usually, but obviously when he was away with work abroad, overseas, he couldn't come back on the weekends, so because he was in like a completely different continent, so it was just me and George for like 2 or 3 weeks straight, which was difficult, just because there's just no respite, there's just no like, yeah, it's just mummy does everything, and the house got into an absolute state, and I wasn't like on top of anything. Like, I was still very much in the running to the toilet and being sick just outside of the toilet. Like, it wasn't, I wasn't very in control at that time. But we are very much past that now. I still feel nauseous every now and then, and I still need to eat random times just to subdue sickness and things like that. I know that it's different for everyone. Some people have sickness throughout the whole pregnancy, some people have no sickness. I'm somewhere in the middle. Yeah. And you just forget, like, you just forget about it. It already feels like a distant memory for me. Next question is, how is this pregnancy different from your first? And I think that's a really good question, because I actually think this pregnancy, as in, if you're just talking about physical symptoms, is very, very similar. It's almost exactly the same in terms of the sickness, in terms of tiredness and like my skin and all that kind of stuff. I know I've got makeup on today, probably look like I'm, you know, great and healthy, but underneath this is a very ghostly breakout person. I had to put the fake eyelashes on today, I had to put some makeup on today to make myself feel better. But yeah, generally, like, in terms of pregnancy symptoms, very similar. The big difference, I would say, is having a toddler. Like, my life is so different now to what it was in my first pregnancy. My first pregnancy, it was lockdown. That in itself, very different. The fact that it was lockdown and we were all literally homebound. Can't even believe that was a thing. But yeah, we were literally homebound. We couldn't leave the house if we wanted to. I didn't want to, quite frankly. You could stay at home and just laze around all day. Like, yes, I was working from home, but I could literally sit on the laptop and like work from the sofa and like whatever. And I think, especially in my work anyway, in the first lockdown, work died down quite a lot because everyone was focused very much on the pandemic, whereas now working from home is very much a normal thing, and work is work. Like, work is still exactly as it was pre-pandemic, but it's just from home most of the time. So I work from home 3 days a week and then go into the office 1 day a week, sometimes 2 days a week. So that's very different now. I have to wear work clothes, which I did not have to do in my first pregnancy. I've got to get up, I've got to look presentable, got to put, you know, I haven't got to put makeup on, but I would like to when I'm like going out in front of people. You know, I have to travel in to London, which takes about 2 hours on a train full of people. In my first trimester, that was very difficult to do, sickness-wise and just tiredness and all that kind of stuff. That's very different to my first pregnancy. Having a toddler and being responsible for another human being and their happiness and their well-being means way more than your happiness and well-being, and way more than your sickness or your tiredness. Like, they come first. So, and that's so different to when you have no one to look after. I had a dog and a cat actually at the time. Obviously, yeah, I would, you know, I used to think, oh, like I've got to get up and walk the dog, I've got to feed the dog, oh, you know, that's nothing in comparison to having a human to look after. So, to be fair though, tinned dog food when you're in your first trimester feeling nauseous, and you have to do it because there's no one else here to do it, not gonna lie, that is a bit crap. Very different lives is what I'm trying to say. Very different, and sometimes that's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing. Sometimes you just want to look after yourself and your baby and your, you know, baby in your tummy. Other times you're quite glad because you're distracted and you're experiencing other issues, other like amazing times as well, not always like negative, and you're forgetting about, you know, what's going on inside your body and like how you're feeling. Even if that's momentarily, I feel like it was a positive at times. So yeah, I guess they're the differences. But in terms of like sickness and the timings and yeah, all that kind of stuff, very similar. I'm as out of breath now as I was this time last pregnancy, I'm pretty sure. The next question was, what will the age gap be between George and baby number 2? And the answer is 2 years and 9 months, I think, if I've worked out correctly. George is born in September 2020 and second baby will be born in June 2023. So I think 2 years and 9 months, which I'm just so happy about. I'm so happy that's going to be the age gap. I kind of think after the 3-year mark, it would have been harder, like somehow, because I kind of just think we're in the trenches with George now. He's a toddler, you know, like he's still in nappies, like hopefully by June we can get the potty training sorted, but he's very reluctant at the moment. If not, then it's fine. But anyway, yeah, so there'll be 2 years and 9 months between them, which is nice. The next question was, what are your financial plans in terms of mat leave and childcare costs, etc, etc. So obviously, like I said in a previous answer, like financial planning is like a big thing when it comes to like having a family and growing your family and all that kind of stuff, and it's something that I definitely like talking about. I feel like it's one of those weird things that's like a taboo subject for whatever reason, especially in the UK, but I don't know why, because we all have to consider it, and we all have to think about these things, whether we're gonna continue to work after having a family, or wait until the kids go back to school, or whether we're gonna put them into childcare, or whether we're, like, all of those, you know, considerations that we have to all consider. So for us, financially, like I said already, we wanted to make sure that there was a big enough age gap between George and baby number 2, so that we didn't have to pay for 2 sets of childcare at the same time. It just would not have worked with our current lifestyle. Like, we have a mortgage, we have bills to pay, like everyone else, and to have that childcare bill doubled. It just like literally would not have worked. It would just be impossible. So that was like the main financial thing that we had to consider. So in terms of like other financial plans, what I've been doing is saving money so that I can take an entire year off of work. So I'll have, amazingly, my work have a really, really good maternity pay system, like maternity leave, whatever. Basically, it's 6 months fully paid, which is just incredible. Is like another reason that I'm in the job that I'm in, is because the benefits to like maternity leave and things like that are just second to none. So 6 months fully paid is what my work offer me. And then I've also saved up 6 months worth of wages so that I can take a full year off. So hopefully, mat leave wise, I've already got the funds like available to me to take an entire year off, which is just incredible. It's not something I quite did with George. I think I did 10 months with George in the end, I think, although, yeah, I can't really remember. I feel like I went back to work in the July, and he was born in September, so yeah, 10 months I think. And then he started childcare, and he went into childcare 4 days a week, and I started back at work 4 days a week. I genuinely have no idea what I'll do in terms of going back to work, like whether I'll keep my hours as they are, whether I'll shorten them, whether I'll take even more time off, like I just don't know yet. Yeah, it's just such a big thing. At the moment, for my financial plan, my planning is that I will take at least a year off. And I've got the like funds in place to do that, which is just crazy. Like, I'm just so grateful that I've been able to do that, like being in a position where I'm able to do that. So I'm, yeah, really, really happy that that's the case. Like I said in a previous answer, George's 30 hours free a week come in January 2024. Basically, the plan is, when the baby comes along, probably from the September after that, so from when George is 3, to cut George's hours in childcare down to probably like 9 till 3 or something like that, a school day rather than the full day that he does now. Like he doesn't actually go in for these hours, but we pay for 8 until 6, 4 days a week. And it's just a lot, and obviously where I'm working, I have to have those hours because I have to work during those hours. Whereas when I'm not working, when I'm on maternity leave with a newborn, I still want George to be in childcare because he loves childcare, he gets so much out of it, he socialises so much, and all of that kind of stuff. But I definitely don't, like, he doesn't need to be in those really crazy long hours. So I'm hoping we can do maybe like 9 till 3 or something like that, like a good day, but like not 4 days, and maybe 3 days a week. Again, we haven't like properly discussed this. We've said like we'll cut his hours down, but we haven't said exactly by how much. And I think what would be sensible is to cut it down to the amount of hours that he would then be funded for in the January. I think how it works, and I could be wrong, but I think how it works is you get 30 hours free, but only funded in term time, and that's like 30 something weeks a year. But obviously for a lot of parents at work, you want to spread it across like 50 weeks in a year, because sometimes like you don't have like school holidays off, for example, like 6 weeks holidays. You can't just take 6 weeks off of work. So I think what we'll do is spread it across the 50 weeks, and then I think it equates to like something like 22 hours a week or something like that. So 22 hours a week in childcare, as opposed to what we like currently put him in for, would be sensible, I think. And then so the baby's due in June. Baby's due in June. So from probably the September, just because it's like the new term, I don't know, like from whenever, but say the September, we could put his hours down to 9 until 3 days a week, for example, which would be like a massive financial saving, but also then I would get to spend a lot more time with George. Obviously I have got another baby, and I'll have to see like what the juggle is in terms of like spending time with both of them and like having them both at home at the same time, because I'm really looking forward to that. It's just it's just like a daunting thing, isn't it? But without the like sheer stress of work, like on on a shoulder here and then like being a mum on the other shoulder and all of that kind of stuff. I'm really looking forward to not having both of those things weighing over me. Like I just really loved maternity leave. I loved it so much. I had so much time to invest into my baby, and I just can't wait for that again. And it's going to be me and my 2 babies. God knows what will happen after the year's up. So like June 2024 would technically be when I would be due back at work. But like I don't know what's going to happen at that point. I genuinely have not made my mind up. And like financially we'll just have to see where we are as well, because obviously I do make money through YouTube and through like other things like Instagram and stuff like that. So we'll just have to see where we are. Like it's just not something that I can exactly pin down right now. But yeah, in terms of like the plans that we currently have in place, those are the plans. One other thing that I forgot to mention on the like financial plans side of things is that we are planning on doing the kitchen up before baby number 2 arrives. So financially, like we're going to obviously be paying for that as well. The plan is, and I'll do a whole other video about this, but the plan is to knock through this wall here between the dining room and the kitchen, and then put up a dividing wall between the living room and what will be the kitchen diner. So it will be like a sort of room, like we're basically just going to knock down a wall, put another wall up, and then yeah, like have a big kitchen diner. But I'll talk to you guys about that properly in another video, I think. And yeah, we'll go through like all of the finance plans and stuff. I will be doing a like New Year 2023 budget like I did for 2022 and 2021. So yeah, watch out for that. That is coming very soon. I'm going to film that in the next couple of days. The next question was what are your maternity leave and work plans, and then also what are Ash's work plans. So I've already kind of explained what my work plans are. As things stand, I'm going to take at least a year off. Obviously I'm going to continue to make videos and things like that. And in terms of Ash's work plans, this was all sort of the whole reason that we decided to start having a baby, I guess, around this time and after the wedding and all those kind of things. Basically, this year, Ash is going to leave the army, which is really, really exciting for him and for us as a family. As much as he loves the army, and he genuinely, like he loves it, he loves the military, but for our family and for our growing family, just as a unit, it's the right decision for us, and for him to leave at this point, I guess. So yeah, we're gonna grow our family, and he's gonna leave the army, so it means that he'll be back here, like it'll be like a normal family, which I don't feel like we've ever been. So he'll like be back every evening, and here on the weekends, and like not be traveling abroad for 6 months at a time or 9 months at a time, going on deployments. So yeah, that's that. It was a big old conversation, and it definitely wasn't one that was always like really straightforward, because like he's been promoted and he's got lots of opportunities in the military, and it's always been his life, but his life is also our family, and there's a big, yeah, it's a big thing. Definitely something that I'm really, really happy about, and I know that he is as well. So yeah, that's what's happening. But that won't happen until after the baby's born. I think there'll be a couple of months maybe where he's still in the army. It's a little bit tricky because there's like a little bit, like he can stay in for longer, he can leave earlier, like there's just a bit of like flex. So yeah, anyway, he's leaving the army. I'm very excited. And work plans, he's got a trade that he's going to go into, and he knows what he's going to do, and it's all very, very exciting. But anyway, yeah, I feel like I've rambled for long enough. Thanks so much if you did make it to the end of this video. I'm gonna love you and leave you, and I'll catch up with you really soon. Please let me know what pregnancy content or like toddler content or whatever content, let me know what content you want for this year. Let me know in the comment section. I will make sure to make a note of it and to create those videos for you. But for now, I love you and leave you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
'Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. And I feel so free, oh my sweet baby.